All right, guys, welcome to the T-shirt day in the TCI studio. Alex and I usually I don't want to say dress up, but we try to look a little more professional when we do the videos. Today we need to crank some out, so we're going to do them as is. No dress code today, Alex.
Well, it's the week of the 4th. We're still on vacation, right?
It's hump day. We're like halfway through the week, getting ready to move towards another weekend. Appreciate Alex's hard work this week. Gavin wheel off on vacation, so we've been trying to hold down the fort, give you guys lots of information as we always do on the Clemson Insider. We're going to do some videos for you today. This is going to be a great video. Road trips. Hopefully everything's back to normal this season. Get to go back on the roads. We're going to talk a little bit about the road trips that Clemson has on the schedule this year and which ones are going to be exciting, which ones are new. All right, Alex, of the road games on the schedule, obviously we're going to kind of take the Georgia game out, right?
Yeah, we have to, because that's the one we're most excited about. But Clemson people are very used to Charlotte.
Another trip to Charlotte.
We've got a routine for Charlotte. We know where we're going to stay. People are going to stay in the hotel. A lot of people are just going to take day trips to Charlotte. We know Charlotte, so we'll fast forward somewhere else.
Best thing about Charlotte, if you're down there and if you haven't been to this place, make sure you make a stop by the French Quarter. It's just it's like one street up from the baseball stadium.
Yep.
Alex and I went when we went down to the ACC Baseball Championship a couple weeks ago. Awesome restaurant, Monte Cristo sandwich, one of my favorites. So go check them out. They're within walking distance of the stadium if you're down there. A little different hole in the wall.
Yeah, I mean, the French Quarter should start paying the Clemson Insider.
That's it.
Because we make like 4 trips to Charlotte a year for Clemson sports.
Yep.
And we always go to their restaurant. So maybe
this is our NIL pitch.
Yeah, this is our
sponsor.
NIL pitch.
Us poor folks on the Clemson Insider to help us out. All right, Alex, outside the Georgia game, what's the best road trip for Clemson fans this year?
Well, we get a new trip. First time going to Pitt for a lot of Clemson people. So I think that's probably the number one on everybody's docket, is heading up to Pittsburgh and seeing what they have to offer up there in PA.
I don't know anybody on our staff that would want to go up to Pittsburgh, do you?
Yeah, I think we have a couple people who are pretty excited to go to Pittsburgh.
I've been to Pittsburgh. University of, obviously been up there before for other things. I actually have been up there for some work-related things in my other company. But Katie and I actually went up to baseball series at Pitt a couple years ago when she was still here with us, and got to meet her grandparents on that visit and see their baseball stadium. And Pittsburgh's a nice town. It's got a nice downtown area. It's got football teams. I guess the question I've got, Alex, will there be more fans at the Pitt Clemson game that weekend or the Steelers game if they have a Steelers game?
Probably, there will be probably more people in orange that are going to be at Heinz Field that week than probably there will be fans in black
Over
and gold.
under black and gold between 2 games versus the orange in the stands.
We're definitely going to take some inter-staff heat for those comments. But I'm excited for the Pitt trip.
He's not here. He didn't watch the video. We're good. Now, good, but like I say, a new trip for Clemson fans. I remember the first trip to Syracuse. Actually enjoyed that trip. The one thing I don't like about this year's road schedule is we have a Friday night game at Syracuse, and then the next week we have to go back to Pitt.
Yep. So 2 trips to the Northeast in consecutive weeks. For us as a staff, that takes a toll, but I mean, you can only imagine what the toll for a football team is going to be. And it is good that you get that Friday night game at Syracuse, which you're never really excited about a Friday night game, but it's good that you have an extra day that you're going to be able to take off before you have to travel up to Pittsburgh the next weekend. So that's one thing that'll probably be helpful for Clemson as a team. But the negative is,
I wonder how many fans will just drive from Syracuse over to Pittsburgh or just stay up there.
I mean, I think if you're retired or you're working remote, I think it's a good opportunity to take some extra time to hang out. I mean, Clemson gets a bye week before it goes to Syracuse too, so the Friday night game has little consequence in terms of scheduling this year. You get an extra day off before. It actually is kind of advantageous for Clemson this year.
It's advantageous for the Clemson Insider. For those of you that don't know, if it's a trip where I pull off a drive instead of a fly, we always drive. Bart keeps telling me, hey, there's these things that have wings called airplanes.
I love airplanes.
Why don't we take one of those? Of course, if you're TCI staff and you're taking 4 people, it's a lot cheaper. And just, I don't like to fly personally. Do it all the time for my other job. But so we always drive. So the Friday night games have been awesome for us in the past because we'll drive partway back on Saturday. We'll basically drive till like 1 or 2 o'clock, park it somewhere, watch football the whole rest of the day. Like, half of the first games and then the afternoon games and then the night games and then finish the trip in the morning. So that's always a fun weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for, to see some new places in the ACC. I've never been to Syracuse or to Pittsburgh. So, if I make it, 500 on getting to go on those trips with TCI, then that'd be good for me because I haven't got to go to either of those places yet.
Okay, so you've been to neither one. Obviously never been to Pitt. NC State, another road trip. Always an interesting trip. Always wondering, what Dave Doran's going to complain about after the game. Is it going to be the laptop, or we're going to have towels being stolen from the quarterback, or what's going to go on? NC State fans, I'll just leave it at that. NC State fans.
If anybody knows, it would be Robert.
If you're taking your car up there and you're parking it in one of those parking lots and you have Clemson stuff on your car, just be careful.
Yeah, the good thing for me last time I went to NC State was it was for work, so I was in neutral colors. Because if I would have been in Clemson colors, it was a very long walk past all of the student tailgates to the press box for me. So I would have had to go all the way through that frat lot that's right across from the stadium. I parked back in the parking garage. It feels like it's a million miles away from the stadium, but thankfully it was a work trip, not a student trip. So I didn't have to endure the heat from the NC State fans.
Alex wrote this week about how NC State's going to take the next step this season. So if they take the next step, it could be a little bit bigger game, closer game. Obviously, we had a really close game with them a few years ago in Clemson, or several years ago. But that's always a fun trip. I like going to Raleigh. I like going anywhere up there in the Tobacco Road area.
Homecoming of sorts.
Homecoming, I actually was a big NC State fan earlier in my life, so I went to a lot of games at Carter Finley back in the day. But for me, the trips are always geared around barbecue. Those of you guys on the board know that well. So if we're going to NC State, probably going to stop at one of the Smithfield barbecue spots on the way. And there's a number of exits. There's one in Greensboro. There's 2 right before you get to Raleigh. So the TCI staff, if you don't like barbecue at Smithfield, they have fried chicken as well. They have great banana pudding. They have the best Brunswick stew.
I like Smithfield barbecue. My favorite thing about going on a trip to the Triangle or the Triad is Biscuitville.
Biscuitville, it's awesome.
There's always a Biscuitville, not the Justin Timberlake SNL skit Biscuitville, but the real Biscuitville.
Biscuits are awesome there.
So that's what I'm most excited for about the trip to NC State is getting to hit a Biscuitville somewhere in the area.
So there's a food theme here in our trips. All right, we get to go to Columbia this year.
Yeah,
Gosh, we've never done that before.
Yeah, there's that trip. My favorite trip in the ACC is the Louisville trip. I always love going to Louisville. So Clemson gets to travel there this year on November 6th. Don't know exactly what their football program is going to look like. Dabo obviously likes Scott Satterfield a lot, and there's been a little bit of buzz, but they haven't been able to turn that corner yet and get back to even some of the success that they had under Petrino in recent years. But I'm always excited to take the Louisville trip. Super cool town, a lot of fun things to do in the area. So I'm excited to go back up to Louisville.
I love going to Louisville. We've already got reservations there. There's a courtyard that's very close to their athletic facilities. Been up there obviously for football. I've been up there a couple years for baseball.
I made it to
this
softball.
guy was here back in May?
Yeah, I was there at the end of
went up for the ACC softball tournament. So Louisville's a great town. A little bit north of Louisville, there's actually this awesome steak place we found. One time went up there with Don Munson. Actually introduced me to that place, and so that's liable to be on the agenda.
They treat the media extremely well.
They do
at Louisville too.
Absolutely, great. And actually, we had the ACC baseball tournament up there a few years ago. So great place to go. personally, I'd much rather go to Louisville every other year. Don't mind that trip whatsoever. Syracuse was great the first year, second year, every other year. It doesn't do a whole lot for us, but so that's our road trips. Now, the fans, obviously Clemson fans, some there's the diehards that go every trip. You see the same faces out there greeting the team. Obviously the players' families go, but there's a group of fans that pretty much go everywhere. But I know a lot of fans out there kind of pick a particular trip to go. I think Louisville will be a top popular one this year, and it'll be interesting to see if Pittsburgh is one that some of the fans choose because it's the first time Clemson's headed up there.
Yeah, I think that's probably, Clemson fans are going to have decisions to make, like they do every year, because anytime you're looking forward to a college football playoff trip, potentially, which a lot of Clemson people think that's what will happen this year. We probably think that's what's going to happen this year if you watched our prediction video. So you're stocking back money for that, but then you also have this trip to Charlotte to start the year that's going to be more expensive than your ACC championship trip. So you've got a lot of decisions to make as a Clemson fan about what trip you're going to make.
That money, and with if playoff goes to 12 in the future, we talked about that in a previous video. You got a lot more to figure out. So that's a taste of the schedule, so to speak. We've fit some of our favorite food spots in there with a look at Clemson's schedule. We got a lot more headed your way on the Clemson Insider. We got some big announcements headed your way as well. I'll just throw a little tease in there for that. So stay tuned to the Clemson Insider for the most complete coverage of Clemson athletics and recruiting.